So good morning, everyone. Ito siya ma-minimize. Fine. So, our lesson for Module 3, the first lesson is chemical reaction and chemical equation. Last time, I let you answer what's new, what am I, given the direction, given the ions or element, write the chemical formula of the bond formed, then its name, and identify what type of compound they belong. So carbon and phosphorus both forms ionic bond, covalent bond. Hi, mom. So we have uh, 3 carbon and 4 phosphorus. Who got it right? Linsay nakasakto anig answer. Ibili na ni mo, ma'am. Okay. Your notebook for biology is here already. Giunsa ni na ako nganong dili na ako siya ma-minimize. Then saan ako pagkakita? Nananaon sa nagyod. Nanayabergs na. Hala, oy. Ble, tabangis ako. Hindi na ma-minimize, ble.
Morning, ma'am.
Good morning. Bahala siya din ha. Makita niyo yung nasa kong screen? Tingog pod mo kadi mo na ako makita.
Dili, ma'am.
Dili niyo makita ang
Dili,
nasa
ma'am.
screen?
Yes.
I shared it.
Dili.
How's that?
Kana, ma'am.
Kana. Okay.
Yes.
So, last time, I let you answer this. We have carbon and phosphorus, so they will form tricarbon tetraphosphide. Ito na nag-scratch. Then, bicarbonate and hydrogen, we have carbonic acid, which is an acid. And this one, the first one, this is a binary salt of both non-metals. This is an acid. Bicarbonate and hydrogen becomes a carbonic acid. It is an acid. Calcium and oxygen becomes calcium oxide. And it is a binary salt of metal and non-metal. Sulfur and thiophosphite doesn't exist because there is no ion such as ion for thiophosphite. It should be thiophosphate. Hydride and chlorate, both are negative, also is not possible. Kung hydrogen and chlorate, not a chloric acid, but it's a hydride and chlorate. Cyanide and neon is also not possible since neon is already stable. Mercury 1 and oxygen is Hg2. It's H.
Mercury 1 oxide, ma'am.
Mercury 1 oxide is Hg2, closed in a parenthesis, and then
Plus 2.
oxygen 2.
Di ba, ma'am, mahimo lang siyang
So this becomes
H2 then O2,
Hg2
H2O2, 2
O.
O na lang dayon.
O na lang dayon siya. Okay? So, nitrogen and iodine, we have 1 nitrogen and 3 iodine covalently bonded to each other. So, we have the name as
Triiodine nitride.
mono nitrogen or just nitrogen trinitride. Nitrogen, how
Try,
many? Akong ikuan ha atong i-sulat. How many dots are there for nitrogen?
7.
7, nitrogen.
7, ma'am.
Nitrogen.
wait.
Nitrogen. How many dots are there for
Five,
nitrogen?
five.
Very good. So 1.
Nitrogen, iodine mo nito, ma'am. Sorry, ma'am. Sorry.
Agoy. 2,
Wala, ma'am.
3,
Balag. Check ko, ma'am. Sorry, ma'am.
4, and 5. Hi, Pink. Nagklase ako. Pasok. And kinsa tong parents nga nag-ani og early kay Casino sir, unsay imong gihandulan? Nakoy kan say mo na Euler.
Sir Jalil
Unsay
na,
imong
sir.
gihatag and maghatag kag kwan? Maghatag soft copy or hard copy? Hard copy lang. Diri lang. Wala man soft copy raman kay A ug B man sila good. Pero kung na-C, kana noon, mareklamo, walay C sa ko category C, katong keypad lang ang cellphone, no internet, not smartphone. So, sila lang ang tagaan priority. Ang A ug B, di na sila priority tagaan. Okay, they can download it man.
Sana all
Yes.
priority.
Mangoy uban, ma'am, nga di ka-access.
Ha?
May
Yeah.
uban nga di ka.
That's why we have the asynchronous and the synchronous. So, sorry for the advertisement. So, let's go back to nitrogen and iodine. Nitrogen has 5 dots, while iodine has how many dots?
7.
7.
7. So, we have, correct na gid kayo mo. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Now, what do you think the bond between the two? Is it ionic or covalent? Very good.
Covalent.
Covalent. So when we talk about covalent, it means connect the dots. Marna itaw. Connect the dots. So we connect those dots that are lonely, no pair. So this one, which has no pair, will have this one, which also doesn't also have a pair.
Jud, ma'am, kay lonely kaysa ma'am dapat din
Yes.
siyang
So
pares.
para dili na sila lonely. Na sila kapares. Charot. So now nitrogen still has 2 unpaired electrons. While iodine rather, has all its electrons paired. So kinsay kulangan? Si iodine or si nitrogen? Okay. So this is sometimes mag-vary because depende kung kinsay mabanggaan ni nitrogen. What if ang iyang nabanggaan is another nitrogen? That is possible, di ba? Pwede na siyang mahitabo nga nitrogen gihapon iyang nabanggaan. But by terms of law, kung ato yung i-follow strictly ang rules, ang ato yung ipabangga sa yaha, whether he likes it or whether nitrogen likes it or not, is iodine, which has also 7 dots. Okay. Now, the lone pair, the unpaired will be paired with the other unpaired electron for nitrogen. Now, is nitrogen stable?
Not yet.
Not yet. So, another na pod, we have here another iodine. So, dots, and dili ko mag-dot para dili kay layo ako ang kwan. So, tara siya. Pwede na siya ninyong buhatan actually. So, now, can we see the central atom?
Yeah.
What is our central atom based on the connections that we had?
Nitrogen.
Nitrogen. So, nitrogen will act as our...
Nalibog na ko.
Nga, nalibog ko din.
Ay, mas dako man.
Ma'am, kay gisunod na mo, ma'am, kay ang electronegativity, ma'am, giuna na mo ang iodine, ma'am.
Nga naman. Kaya di ba,
Mas
unahon
dako.
na to base ang central atom. So, kung dili clear ang
Ay,
central
dahil ma'am, anya
atom,
siya ang kuha
then
na
thank you
dayon.
so much, Sir Prince.
Ano ka
Nag-class
di ay nga.
pasensya na.
Central atom, di ang priority.
Yes.
Ang
Our
priority.
Sana
priority
all
is
a
to make the
priority.
central atom tama. Sana all priority. So,
Hello
kinsa
ma'am,
tong
sige
mama
na dyan ang iyang love life.
Lagi,
kasinaw.
mungga kayo.
Ang imong uncle kay nagkuha og physics lang na ay bagong
Nga, namin, namin dyan ang
I
P6, ma'am.
discourage nga maghatod mo diri buntag because some of the teachers kay udto na maghatag sa ilahang module because our schedule is from 1 to 3 p.m. So, saan man na ron, si Kasinaw na, kulang na yung module.
Nga no, bitaw, ugma na kumupas para sigurado.
Much better kung ugma kay uban kay mga pas paghapon. You have here your module for physics and cultural, social, and political organization. So, based
Saan
on
sa ma'am? Sino ma'am? UCSP?
UCSP.
UCSP o
the
P6?
Physics.
understanding
Okay.
man dapat nino, understanding culture,
Oh,
social, politics,
Politics.
and
understanding culture, society, and politics.
social UCSP.
Mm.
Okay. So based on this, gitawag na to ni siya og
Molecular.
Ay na may text. Molecular
Bonding.
Formula.
geometry. So tawag na to actually ani niya is molecular geometry. Di ba karon pa ko naka-realize na di ko may naani pero di ko masulat-sulat. So based on the molecular geometry, manang eraser. I'm done with the eraser.
Nitrogen.
Okay. So, based on the molecular geometry, ang atuang central atom is malulain kay kinawayon kay ka. Nitrogen.
Morning, ma'am.
Good morning.
Ma'am, ma'am,
how
delete
many
daw ka.
nitrogen? What?
Ma'am,
How
nawala daw
many
si Malon.
Nitrogen. Pabalik ka lang siya.
Ben, na-adi troubleshoot sa kuan ron Ben. Ay, wifi Ben. Sige po.
Sige na. Okay na. Magpadayon na ta. So,
Ma'am,
how
pwede
many
dili
nitrogens are there, ha?
Pwede dili mag-on ka, ma'am, kay maghukas ra ko, ma'am. Kay igang kay
Wow.
mamay.
Okay, fine. So based on the molecular geometry, how many nitrogens are there?
Isa.
Isa. Do we need to
Isa.
write one?
No.
Okay.
Because it's
So,
understandable.
very good then. Next we have iodine.
Iodine.
How many iodines are there?
Tulo.
We have 3 iodines. So the formula is Ni3. So we call it mononitrogen triiodine.
Iodine.
Even though nitrogen has least I mean higher electronegativity value, but since iodine is not the central atom, so we have the Ni3 instead of I3N. Pwede mo po na siya I
3N.
3N. If we
Okay na.
based it on electronegativity value, I still consider it. But if we base it on the molecular geometry, our central atom is nitrogen. Pareha ra gud na siya sa H saka dot of oxygen 6. And then another H here. If we consider the geometry, we have H connected to oxygen and another H.
2H.
So what is our central
Oo, dapat
atom?
ma'am no?
O.
So it's supposed to be O.
OH2.
But we do not write OH2, right? We don't write that way. We write it as instead. This is wrong.
H2O.
We write it as
H2O.
H2O.
Makes sense.
Yeah. So either way, actually, it's correct. This is based on the molecular geometry. this is based on electronegativity. So, next time, para dili ta malibog, I will specify if it is based on molecular geometry or based on their electronegativity.
Negativity. Okay,
Opo,
tingnan
ma'am,
na.
kay mao pa man ko pag-discuss ni mo, ma'am. Wala
Yeah,
ni
so
kabalo.
I
Okay ra sa
can
ma'am.
consider that. So, either way, pwede siya. Okay, now let's
Thank you,
go
ma'am.
back to that one. Makita ninyo? Ammonium
Yes, ma'am.
hypophosphite. Ammonium
Phosphite.
hypophosphite is
NH4 plus.
H4 plus, enclosed in a parenthesis. And then we have 3. Dion, we have PO.
P H P
PO2
hypo
negative
man.
3.
H, ma'am.
PO2
Ay, hypo
negative
dai?
3, ma'am.
Dili man na bay.
Wala.
So
Bye. Hypo dai.
PO2, ma'am.
PO2.
PO2 negative 3.
why there's a negative 3?
Negative 3.
Why there's
Wala
a
na.
negative 3? It
Wala
should
na.
be N
P H4
Ay, akong gimin, ma'am, ba? Kay ang kuwan
enclosed
niya, ma'am. Ang hypophosphite,
enclosed to
ma'am.
3
enclosed 3.
Ma'am, akong
PO
gimin, ma'am. Kay ang kuwan, hypophosphite, ma'am.
PO
PO
Diretso na dahil may og answer, ma'am.
2.
2.
PO2.
That is ammonium hypophosphite, which is a salt, a ternary salt. Copper
Yes, yes,
2
ma'am.
and carbonate. So copper 2, carbonate has 2, and then we have CO3 enclosed in a parenthesis 2. So we
2.
can have this
So,
as Cu
Cup Cu CO3.
CO3.
3.
Okay.
Yes.
Any question with the activity?
Non.
None.
Okay. Now let's go to chemical reactions and chemical equation. Now when we say chemical reaction, it always happens when there is a chemical change. So if a chemical change occurs, automatically there is a chemical reaction. Now a chemical reaction is just a rearrangement of the constituent atoms of the reactant to create different substances or products. So there is no creation or destruction of atom. There is just what we call rearrangement. Am I clear?
Alteration.
Arrangement, ma'am, no?
Also, say for example, burning a paper. In a paper, you have carbon and hydrogen because it's an organic material. So in that sense, if you add oxygen, because we have burning, it means combustion. When we talk about combustion, later on when we talk about types of chemical reaction, combustion means you are adding hydrogen. Kajut lang kayo ha. Nag-classic ko, kajut lang.
Ano?
Akong tsinelas na sa motor. Okay.
Sana all.
Sana all.
Sana all.
Shout out.
Sorry for the interruptions. Okay, chemical reaction again is rearrangement. So if we have paper, if we burn a paper, we are not creating new compound, but we just rearrange. So katong oxygen will bond with carbon to form carbon dioxide, and the other oxygen also bond with hydrogen to form water vapor mo na mag-aso siya. And then, tungod kay limited lang man ang oxygen sa environment, some of the carbon could not react with oxygen, making them to form the ash, which is a pure carbon. So actually, na-rearrange lang siya. Biska bond di carbon kay si hydrogen, niabot man si oxygen, gibungkag ni carbon ni oxygen, si carbon ug si hydrogen, and tungod kay kulang ang supply ni oxygen, motong some of the carbon still naa sa iyahang nasa iyahang material. We call it as the ash. So, it is usually accompanied by easily observed physical effects such as the emission of light. So, kung naaga ni emission of light, it
Yes.
means there is a chemical reaction. Formation of precipitate means there is a chemical reaction. Evolution of gas kanang magbula-bula. That is evolution of gas. Example, when you put water, soap, detergent powder to the water, di ba mo bula siya?
Mm.
And then you can feel na
Init.
from wala siya heat, inigi mo siyang kutawon, muinit na siya. So there is an evolution of gas. Later on, we will talk about the energy in and out of the chemical reaction. Or there is a color change. So if there is a change in color from, say for example, yellow, name mo siya blue. So can you tell
Brown.
me, or green to yellow, example, mango. From a green mango, which is kanang hilaw, to a yellow mango, which is a ripe one. So there is a change in
Ma'am, ang
color.
kanang kuan, ma'am.
That
Kanang
means
overripe na mangga. Ay, mangga. Kanang banana, ma'am. Mula, ma'am, no? Banana, ma'am.
pwede gihapon from yellow to brown. So it means there's a change of chemical composition. It means there is a rearrangement of the constituent atoms inside the fruit. Absolute
Kumbaga, ma'am,
definition of a chemical change can only be validated by chemical analysis of the product. What then? Then, is there something that you want to clarify?
hello, ma'am. So, ma'am, ang chemical reaction is either mawalan siya or madungagan.
No, it's either, when we say chemical reaction, there's a rearrangement of
Okay.
the chemical
Rearrangement na
composition.
jud siya.
Yes. Pwede nimo siya
Okay.
ipagtipid.
Wala mawala,
pwede
ma'am. Wala
mo
ko
ihapon.
madungag.
Yes. What chemical elements present in a matter nga imong gipag-combine, maura po to siya nga chemical element nga mag-interact with each other. So dili pwede nga ang nag-away si Juan ug si Pedro, and then si Pedro nga nangaway ni Juan didto kay Maria mag-sorry. It doesn't make sense. Di ba? Nakasabot?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Yes.
Chemical reactions are an integral part of technology, of culture, and indeed of life itself. Burning fuels, melting iron, making glass and pottery, brewing beer, and making wine and cheese are among many examples of activities incorporating chemical reactions. So sa Earth itself, we have numerous chemical reactions occurring every day. Inside our body also are thousands of chemical reactions that occur. From later on, when we talk about glycolysis, kimyang, respiration, na? When we talk about cellular respiration, yes, we have the glycolysis, the Krebs cycle, and the electron transport chain. You will appreciate the chemical reaction inside your body. Mayroon basta matingala mo nga
No, it's too complicated.
Yes, nga nag-include pa man ni Ma'am Riza. That is because it's one of the essential topics in college. So this Chem 1, nga nung ako gini siya i-emphasize kay para pag-abot niyo sa college, well-equipped na mag knowledge sa inyong chemistry. Di ba? Kay all of these topics will be the topic discussed in chemistry. Chem 12 and 12.1.
I-drop ko na.
So, master na kayo mo sa yung chemistry. And also your biochemistry because you've already discussed cellular respiration and photosynthesis.
Ako, ajud na.
Yes.
Na chemistry sa nursing, ma'am.
No, of course. Chem 12.
Na-adjud.
Dili, in nursing, mas daghan og chemical We're running out of time. We have 10 minutes. We will reschedule. So, muna siya. Munang I'm preparing you for your chemistry classes. I'm preparing you, thank you so much, for your chemistry class so that pag-abot ninyo dito sa college, dili na mo.
Dili mga muti.
Yes.
Pa dili ibagsak sa mga prop.
Easy because dito mag dili na parehas sa senior high nga. I have to explain every detail. Dito,
Yaan
the
naman ni.
professor will just give you the handouts and then bahala ka na. Ana.
Bala nakapasar ka dili.
So it's up to you if you read or not. So chemical reaction must be distinguished from physical change. As what I said, chemical reaction is accompanied by chemical change. When you have a paper and you cut that paper, it only changed the physical aspect of the paper. You just change the size of the paper, the shape of the paper, but you did not change the paper itself. But if you burn the paper, that's no longer a paper. It's already an ash. So that becomes another story. The same is true with water. If you boil the water and you have water vapor, it's still water. If you freeze the water, you have ice. Then that's still water. But if you have
Tawag ka ng
water,
ice, ma'am. Tawag ka ng chemical. Chemical tawag sa ice.
it's hydrogen oxide.
Palit ko.
But solid hydrogen oxide, why not? So, if you just change the state of the matter, then still it is a physical change. But if you have put electricity in the water, that electricity triggers to separate the hydrogen and the oxygen, then that becomes a chemical reaction. That means you actually have decomposes the water molecules. Now, the concept of chemical reaction dates back 250 years ago. It had its origin in early experiments that classified substance as elements and compounds, and in theories that explains these processes. So development of the concept of a chemical reaction had a primary role in defining the science of chemistry as it is known today. When making a new substance from other substances, chemists say either they carry out a synthesis or that they synthesizes the new material. So when we talk about synthesizing, it means you are having a chemical reaction. Reactants are converted to products and the process is symbolized by a chemical equation. So what is a chemical equation? A chemical equation is a symbol of the flow of reactant. So in a chemical reaction, we have the reactant side and the product side. What separates the product from the reactant is this arrow. Now, when we write a chemical reaction, chemical equation, we have to see to it that there are no oxidation numbers nga makita. If we write only the element, then we can write it in its symbol, or like this, pareha nila, nakasymbol lang. Or if it is a halogen or some special nonmetals, they are diatomic. So kani sila, you have to memorize that if ever you write them in a chemical reaction, they are always diatomic. Hydrogen must have 2, nitrogen, oxygen, fluorine, chlorine, bromine, and iodine. So there are other symbols that we use in writing chemical equation. The plus sign. The plus sign separates the two formulas that you combine either in reactant or in the product. The arrow means yield or produce. S means solid. Liquid for L. G for gas. And if it is water soluble, it is AQ or aqueous. And if you see this arrow with a triangle above, it means there is heat supplied. It's either heat is into the product or heat is added to the reactant. Then if you see these arrows with chemicals above them or the word C, cat, it means a catalyst, or it means that the chemical reaction took place with the help of some substance that makes the reaction done a little bit faster. Because those particular substance, though makita gihapon nimo siya sa product, inigibutang nimo siya sa reactant, wala siya nausab, naragyapon siya sa product, still they offer less energy for the reaction to occur. Say for example, this one. In order to decompose hydrogen peroxide, we have manganese oxide. So the manganese oxide is added to hydrogen peroxide to separate oxygen. And then, in the product, you still have the manganese oxide na nasa din ha sa tunga na lang gibutang. So instead of adding heat, aron mabungkag siya, you add a kanang compound which at low energy pwede siyang react because ang hydrogen peroxide very highly reactive ni siya, labaw nagmainitan mo nang ang agwa oksinada dili na siya ginabutang sa mga bottles na
Plastic.
kanang light, kanang transparent nga bottle, dark gid ang ginabutangan sa agwa oksinada or sirado gid na siya. Kung inyo mo siyang mabatay na siya lead sa imabaw para di siya mag-spill.
Gamay ra buho. Gamay ra buho.
Yes. Kay dali ra kay na mag-react. And it is not true nga daghan, the more daghan iyang bula, the more siya dagag-kagaw. No. Kung daghan sa bula, the more nag-react ang imuhang tambal. So, mas healthy ang imuhang paglimpyo. So, we use hydrogen peroxide sa samad, dili alcohol, or else you are killing the tissues. Uban man gud kay alcohol ang ilahang ginagamit. So, in which
Cleansing naman na siya.
Yes. So, ang alcohol, gamiton siya pag close lang. Naikatol-katol. Pero pag open wound, do not use alcohol kay madaot ang tissue. You use instead agua oxinado kay water-based. So again, catalyst is a substance
that
added to the process that increase the rate of chemical reaction. Catalysts are not consumed in the catalyzed reaction. Often they only very small amounts of catalyst required. So, a chemical reaction follows the law of conservation of mass, in which it states that atoms cannot be created nor destroyed. That's why we need to balance the chemical reaction. So in lesson 3, we will be talking a lot of balancing chemical reaction. Energy also plays a key role in chemical process. A chemical reaction cannot occur without the energy. Energy is the most important part. We call it the activation energy. For a chemical reaction to occur, it must reach its activation energy. Now, the product or the inflow or outflow of energy depends on the chemical reaction. There are chemical reactions that is endothermic. There are also that is exothermic, which we will discuss a little more after our break. We have to break 1 minute na lang. So goodbye for now. I will post the next schedule on our GC for the part.
Paalam mga kaibigan.
Goodbye.
Bye, ma'am.